means freedom of worship for all and the subordination of the rights of any one race to the overriding right of the human race. Our national flag belongs to all our citizens. Our national coat of arms with our national birds inscribed therein is the sacred trust of all our citizens. So it is today. Please, I urge you, let it always be so. Let us always be able to say with the psalmist, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." As the citizens of an independent country, we must preserve the qualities we have developed in the testing period before independence. We must work even harder than in the past. The watchwords I have chosen for the nation are discipline, production, tolerance. I appeal to you to let them ever be your guide to conduct. If we do this, we will build a nation which can hold its head high and be accepted anywhere in the world, and which any other nation will be glad to welcome as a friend. As we march forward to our great day, let us do so as a united people, bridging all the differences of class, race, color, and creed. Let us make a living reality of our new motto: together we aspire, together we achieve.
From the ghetto, crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying, crying, voices from the ghetto, crying, 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 Lord, Lord, crying, voices from the ghetto. Help us, Father, Lord, Lord. Just hold them head and ball, and them woman stronger than a wall. A big pusher eyeing she daughter, son in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for the name black boys, no bail. That's the black man's choice. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. She little girl child belly start to swell. Life is a cycle, but don't draw she no circle. Yeah, when it all end, don't need time to tell. Outside the siren keep howling, inside your belly will growling. Police raid very often, Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're afraid to win the lotto, not to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 voices from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, hear them pleading, crying, voices from the ghetto. forgotten people. Hear our song. With dented pride they soldier on. Revolutions get politicians born. And often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust blood, but yet they christen the heroes, renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Steel band music shatters the silence, harmony to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're tough protecting, almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs till a borrow, there'll be another voice from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, oh, crying, yeah. Voices from the ghetto, crying.
Yes, voices from the ghetto. Good morning, Mayaro, and welcome to Seine Talk. Today is Saturday, the 19th of November, 2022. This is the year the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Now, listeners, this morning, what can I say? Weather. And again, the whole region continues to feel the impact of this rainy weather that is causing havoc across our region as it relates to flooding, as it relates to mudslides, some people say landslides, hills coming down onto the roadway, and persons' homes and houses are affected by water. Sometimes it's water from the neighbor protruding and coming into the person's yard. Foundations are being affected. All of that is happening currently. And the weather does not seem like it will assist residents in terms of sunlight. So, what's happening this morning? We're going to open up the lines this morning to get in reports of what is happening across the region. And, also take note, we know once again on the Guarigari Road what has happened this morning again. And that mud coming into the road. And of course, earlier this week we would have had 2 accidents at that same point, impacting and affecting residents. And the businesses within that area were not able to function because if it's sun, it would be dust, and if it's rain, it would be mud. So we know that our residents within our community is being impacted negatively about this weather. And on the bigger side of all that, again, those with the smallest carbon footprint are truly facing the impact of this climate change and this whole global warming situation. And again, those with the bigger carbon footprint are not feeling it. So this morning, of course, we're going to start off with the dailies. And also today, you have to also, on the platforms, send in your team of choice as it relates to the World Cup. And of course, we'll have a pool here at Miara Radio, which at the end of it, of course, there's a great prize for the person who would have picked the ultimate winner of the World Cup. First time being held in Qatar, first time being held in that area or part of the world, and first time this time of the year, the World Cup is being held around this time, because it could not have been held within the summertime, because those temperatures out there are in the 40s Celsius, and we would have had to have a number of ambulances at the scene of each game, because I think that team may have finished with only both goalkeepers at the end of it. So, yes, as we do normally, we touch on the main dailies within the nation of TNT. And special good morning to all the protective services across TNT, and in particular within our region here, to the Miaro Police Station, the Rio Claro Police Station, the Beach Police Station, and of course the Sangre Grande Police Station, and of course the Miaro Fire Station, also the Rio Claro Fire Station, and the Sangre Grande Fire Station. And of course our Coast Guard base out at Galeota, and even the port of Galeota, where we know activities have been increasing. So all those out there, we just say a special good morning. And of course we start in Abyssinia, straight to the Teak, straight to the Long Bridge, Bodo morning, and of course all our residents within. So a special good morning to all. So we start off by looking at the front page of today's Express. And the caption on today's Express is Bring Corruption Law Now. Farley, Zipline Company does not exist. Regulators call for the proclamation of the Procurement Act. No more consultation needed. Also on the front page of today's Express, Stuck and Stop. Stalled. A vehicle stalled going through flood waters in the vicinity of the abattoir as another motorist is cautioned by flood helpers on South Key, Port of Spain, after the second day of flooding in the city yesterday. And as I said, that rain situation in TNT, the two wettest months of the year are June and November. All right, and currently we are in the midst of November. All right, so that's the front page of today's Express. On the back page, Royalians cry, no mass, as Fatima claim Intercol North Zone title. All right, and again, Queen's Park, Queen Royal College, Nathan Kwashi Center, and Jesse Hospitalis of Fatima College left battle for the ball during their Coca-Cola Intercol North Zone finals at the Hainsey Crawford Stadium yesterday, where Fatima handed QRC a 5-0 victory. And of course, we know the competition in the Intercol or in secondary schools football is all South. Everything is South. Highest standard of play, of course, the better players, everything is South. So, on the front page of today's Newsday, relatives challenge COP's story in police killing. And also on the front page, influenza gets influenza vaccine. Social media influencer Martha French gets her flu shot from the nurse Pauline Bramble, as the Ministry of Health and the NWRHA host an influenza vaccination drive at the Brian Lara Promenade, Port of Spain on Friday. All right. Also on the front page of today's Newsday, THA Secretary on failed PNM tourism project, 2.5 million paid to ghost firm for Zipline. That's the front page of today's Newsday. And of course, on the back page, big clash. Red Force and Jamaica clash in Super 50 finals. And for the cricket enthusiasts, that would be a great game. Two of the standout teams this year in the Super 50 series, Jamaica and TNT. And we're looking forward to have some good cricket coming out of that 50. And we hope that the weather cooperates for that. Right, and again on the back page here, Fatima thumps QRC in North Zone final. All right, also there's a picture of the Los Angeles Clippers guard, Paul George, PG-13, is defended by Detroit Pistons Diallo during an NBA game Thursday in Los Angeles. Clippers won 96-91. But we know PG is a definite all-star, and that's great. Also now, we turn to the Guardian. But before we go to the front page of The Guardian on its second page gives you what is the highlight these days. And that is, they have that little caption on the second page there in terms of the murder count across TNT. And listeners, as of this morning, and I'm sure the figure probably changed by this time, The murder count in TNT is 539. No, listeners, we are not talking about COVID-19. We are talking about murders. The murder count is 539. And I would like to also share with you, without any empirical data at my disposal, I can almost confidently state that out of those 539 murders, I am sure 500 of them is with the use of a gun. And as the authorities battle as it relates to guns, illegal firearms, legal firearms, handing out of firearm users license and all that, I want us to keep in mind, yes, I know that saying that the NRA in America stated that guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? But guns are the weapon of choice. And I'm almost sure that 500 of those 539 murders thus far, guns were involved. But here's a quote of the day. Here, listen to this quote, listeners. Keep your head up and never give up. Just because it didn't happen the first time, don't mean it won't happen at all. Just keep on going, no matter how hard the fall. Excellent, excellent. So the front page of today's Guardian, sun drying. Beetham residents Denise, Paul, and Emerson put their clothes outside to dry yesterday after their homes were flooded out after heavy rains on Thursday. Right? And that is the story across TNT. Our brothers and sisters in Barrackpore, in Princestown, in Sangre Grande, right next door. Oh my, you saw at least 8 and 9 feet of water at homes. Also on the front page of The Guardian, goes firm. Fresh controversy over the $2.5 million THA zipline deal. Farley reveals British Virgin Islands company doesn't exist. 2 locals duped, right, from the then PNM into contract. Also on the front page of today's Guardian, Gary must wait for TTPS firearm audit decision. And that story is on page 6. And of course, the NLCB National Lotto jackpot today stands at $3.2 million. So look out for that. And just some news that includes persons from our region. I would just like to share that with you also, right? 3 charged with misbehavior in office. 3 people were granted a total of $700,000 bail by a justice of the peace after they were charged with misbehavior in public office by officers of the Anti-Corruption Investigation Bureau. A TTPS release said, Vidya Ramdas, 43, an employee of the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Sangre Grande, right? Chatapal Laukaran, 66, a foreign used car dealer of Rio Claro, and Edward Fraser, 68, a foreign used car dealer, were the persons charged with misbehavior in public office. And on the back page of today's Guardian, Fatima, King of the North, right? And in Plain Talk, which is a feature on the back page of the Guardian, adjectives are inadequate in explaining how I feel. I have scored 200 for West Indies, and this goes up there as one of my better hundreds. It's a semi-finals, a pressure game, and it's in a chase, so it's special for me. All right, Jamaican Scorpions captain Roman Powell on his century against Guyana to put them in the finals against TNT. So we know that century have to be cut. So, listeners, this morning, due to the inclement weather that continues across our region, some of my guests carded for the program this morning are dealing with flood matters within their own homes and around their community, and as such would not be able to take the call. They said later on if they can, they would hit me up. So my guest for this morning can't make it. However, this gives us an opportunity for you to talk to me. So via all our streaming platforms, you can send in your communications, find out what you would like to find out about what, and give your comments on what's happening within your space in our region here on Miaro Radio as we continue. So at this time, what we're going to do, in my view, in my humble opinion, the biggest thing that happened within our region this weekend that has long-lasting impact on the lives of all the residents of this area. But before I do that, I would like to reach to my brother who is originally from Faizabad, but has made his home in Sandy Grande, right? And it's called the Skanta. And his song, in terms, the oil in the coil. So I want to touch the brother with the oil in the coil. And after that, bring you up to date on, in my view, what would have been the biggest thing that happened within our region this week. So let's move to Mr. Owen Reds Johnson, a.k.a. Subrike, the Scrunter. And yes, we know he's coming back because this is his time. But now we just want to hear what's going on with the coil. That is all. So after we come back, we're going to talk about the biggest thing that happened within our region this week. So, Mr. Owen Reds Johnson, listeners.
Mayaro Radio taking Mayaro to the world. Download the app in the iOS App Store and Google Play Store.
There's a man rolling down Frederick Street. She boom boom rolling, she looking sweet. Men stop losing a fella shout. Darling, where you from? She say I from south. And with the sweet refrain, she got to explain. It's the oil in the coil that I'm looking to. I want them young men and them to know. It's the oil in the coil. So the man must look good. We using oil with firewood. What again you want to know? Now you find out where I'm looking for. I eating plenty green. I'm bound to increase. Is the oil in the coal that I'm looking to? I want them young men and them to know. Is the oil in the coal? So the man must look good. We using oil with firewood. Oil man controlling all, looking like a thoroughbred. She could make an minister bouncy, eh? Man watching cookie, eh? But what is inside is the oil in the coil that I'm looking to. I want them to open and them to know it's the oil in the coil. So the man must look good. We using oil with firewood.
Yes, it's the oil in the coil. South woman must look good. They're using oil and firewood. So I use our brother Owen West Johnson, aka the Scrunter, in terms of the prelude to the biggest thing that would have happened within our region, within our community this week. And that would have been the visit to our community by the Senior Vice President of BPTT. And good morning to Mr. Dave Campbell and to the organization BPTT. We thank you for visiting our region. And of course, I don't know how he does it. I should have asked to see his Duracell battery pack. But, you know, to condense all those meetings in one day to get a feel and a touch of the community direct. So hats off to you. A pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Campbell, and thanks for visiting our region. But first and foremost, let's capture some of the good things that came out of that visit. And of course, in my own evaluation, with the short time that we met with Mr. Campbell, the Senior Vice President, BPTT, one of the takeaways instantly, because that is how I do things, one of the takeaways instantly was the fact that BPTT plans to stick around, first and foremost, number one. Secondly, BPTT plans to increase investment, and in terms of that increased investment, we mean going to deeper waters and exercising the new technologies in terms of gathering those natural resources in deeper acreage. So that is a good thing, because what that means indirectly is that if there is investment, if there is long-term, and we know that the oil and gas sector in terms of what is called green energy and greener energy and stuff, that we don't have much time to play with. So our natural resources off the southeast coast of the greatest island in the world, the greatest country in the world, our twin island republic, we must exercise such right now. Okay? So the greatest takeaway from the visits, now, he would have met with different fractions of the community, with sports, with business, with all the different things. So I would have not gotten a report from the various persons, you know, from agriculture, from fishing, from labor, from sport. But the greatest takeaway that I'm sharing with you is the fact that they committed to the organization of BPTT being around, and secondly, increase investments and going into deeper water, which means right in the back inside those comments would be the work of opportunities for residents of our region. And of course, one of the good things, and it's through their own social investment, we as a community are not as naive as we were before. In my short communication, I just took the opportunity to remind the Senior Vice President of BPTT, and of course, it's one that I've shared with all our listeners here on Seine Talk, is that the first viable commercial oil well was dug in Guayagari. And it just coincidentally, it is right down the hill from BPTT's Beachfield facility. So in fact, you can come to the northeast corner of BPTT's facility and look down the hill, and your eyes will fall directly on the first viable commercial oil well dug in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, you know, we have those persons who say a lot of things that they don't even listen to what they're saying actually. That is not the first well dug in Trinidad and Tobago. I concur. I agree. I never said it's the first well that was dug in Trinidad and Tobago. The first well was dug in Aripo. The second was dug in Faizabad. If you listen to what I said, you would get the answer in my actual words. And I will say it again so that when they are arguing with you listeners, you can tell it to them. The first viable, commercially viable oil well. let's put it in local parlance. The first well you could make money from, the first well that give you money, was dug in Guayari. And that is all I communicated with the senior vice president of BPTT. And I thank him so much and his team for once again coming and meeting with the community and getting a perspective. Because yes, I can sit right here and tell you, yes, BPTT and its predecessor companies through the years made positive contribution to the development of our region. I can sit here and profoundly make that statement without fear of contradiction. All right? And yes, they have contributed to the human capital in terms of when I was a youngster, a university graduate on every street in our region, that was not the case. But today, based on one of their flagship programs, which is called the Brighter Prospects program, where scholarships for young bright minds in our community, so yes. So I hope that persons who would have met with the senior vice president also articulated the continuing challenges that we have, and that we hope that they can have some impact in terms of making it better. And of course, those are the ones at the top of the table. And no, it's not roads. Sorry, listeners. From the time I say some of the challenges in our community, first thing comes to mind is roads. But I'm talking about investing in our youngsters coming, and that would be our continued challenge with schools transportation, and also some of the little things, connectivity at school, and bringing our labs at our secondary schools within our region up to speed and that kind of thing. So I hope that that's what would have been communicated. Again, I reiterate my short contribution to the senior vice president. And I mean, if one sits and let that statement resonate within you, you would realize how much components of that little statement is put together within that. When I reminded the senior vice president that the first viable commercial oil well was dug in Guayari, and it sits right at the foothills of your Beachfield facility. That was my contribution to the senior vice president. It was a hectic day. There was time slots where he met. All right. Also, the member of parliament, the first citizen, the chairman of the Miario Claro Corporation, also the councillor for Kokal Mafikin would have met with the senior vice president on Thursday. So we thank him very much, and we hope, and I hope that someone from BPTT can carry this message. We hope to see you further. And added to that, sorry listeners, I missed this comment coming from the senior vice president of BPTT. Okay? Now, two things. One, I also asked him after the formal part of the meeting, his team for World Cup kicking off tomorrow. And I am saying that he has gotten his great Trinidadian induction in that he realized when you're speaking publicly, your comment has to be vetted by the boss. And the boss is that person at home that you said, I do. He indicated that his team is Wales. And of course, I said, well, sorry that you all are going to suffer your first defeat on Monday. And he indicated that is his other half's team. So indirectly, I understood what he said. My team of choice is the choice that I am given, and that is Wales, because the boss said Wales, and the boss apparently is probably from Wales. So, all right. But what the senior vice president, Mr. Campbell, indicated that in terms of the facility there at Beaumont Road, and of course, we hope to change the name of that road very soon because of the slave master component of Beaumont And we have a street in our community named Beaumont. We need to get rid of that. The senior vice president indicated that he loves the facility there at Beaumont really, really much, the MRC, and that he will make sure that the work continues in terms of having the playing field, which in other words, the football field, up to scratch. And I mean, that's some good news. That is some good news. As you know, when Miaro United played in the CONCACAF Champions of Champions, our game in Miaro, and of course, remember the headlines on The Guardian, small fishing village, and I will never forget it. I know I have it somewhere in one of those, the real briefcase, not the suitcase, the briefcase, with the big latch that rusts, right? I sure I have that clip in there. Little fishing village in the CONCACAF Champions of Champions, and there was not a room, there was not space at that facility to host that game. All right? And that, in terms of the highest level of a club side from our region, would have been that Miaro United run in terms of the CONCACAF Champions of Champions. All right? So that is good news, again, that the playing field there, which would give us another top-class facility as we continue to work on our own facility here at the MRG to bring it up to scratch as it relates to that. So that is some good news. Unfortunately, I can't bring you much of the news as indicated in terms of meeting with the other sectors within our region, our community, as there was a whole day of meeting with different sectors within our region, all right, to get a feel, and that is great. And one of the things that we can take from that is that the commodity pricing, Trinidad and Tobago are not price makers, we are price takers. And as it relates to the oil and gas sector at this time, it is very favorable in terms of getting that resource to market at this time. All right? And so while he also indicated, that I said before, in meeting with the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Finance, he adds and respectfully understands where Trinidad and Tobago is because of their more than 100 years of experience within the industry. So it's dealing with someone who is knowledgeable about the industry and has a rich history as it relates to oil and gas. So that's a great, great thing. So good morning to you, Senior Vice President, BPTT, Mr. Dave Campbell, and thanks for the visit to our community, and we look forward to having you back soon, right? And of course, we know it's a lot to put together in such short space of time, but we look forward to that positive interaction with your organization and with you personally in terms of bringing up the region and the facility in our overall community. So pleasant good morning to you, sir. Have a great day. And again, sorry for Wales' first loss on Monday in the World Cup. I say probably a 2-1 or a 2-1 or 2-0 loss. Sorry about that. But we look forward to seeing you up here again. So have a great day. So that, in my humble view, would have been one of the most significant things that took place in our region, in our community this week. And we look forward to that. And again, number one, BPTT pledges to be around for a while. And that is great. So thank you. So we are in the season. And of course, we just talk about Owen Reyes Johnson as Calypso Monarch with the will and stuff. But he has another thing, and he talk about Leroy. So now, I have a son named Leroy from Africans. I want to hear what Scrunter have to say if it's that Leroy talking about, because then that song will have to be about 5 hours long. Because to condense Leroy into a song, the shortest that song could be is about 5 hours. So let's hear Mr. Owen Reyes Johnson, the soca parang champion, because the soca parang king is crazy. But the Parang Soca King, right? Parang before the Soca or Soca before the Parang. So if it's Soca before the Parang, it's crazy. And if it's Parang before the Soca, it's Skrunta. So let's hear Skrunta and Leroy listeners.
Download the app in the iOS App Store and Google Play Store. Mayaro Radio taking Mayaro to the world.
Just Leroy.
We don't match in the kitchen. Keep falling behind the sun. So I went across to see what's really going on. He say I went for piece of pop just by Wellington. You know when I come back home, the damn woman gone. So I ask him, Leroy, where your mother gone? Answer me where your mother gone. She a wash the well, she a clean upstairs. Your mother ain't put no glove on the handwork. Little boy, where you move my girl? Answer me where your mother gone. She leave the gate right in the oven. Your mother leave the bastards open. Hey Leroy, where you move my gun? Fuck it up. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, boom, bum. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum. Ba-dum, 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 bum. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, boom. Bum, ba-da-dum. Oh God, man, you have come to cuss. All that is Christmas. Why you making so much of fun? Come, let me take a drink and stop cussing. Remember, people listening. He say 1, she didn't ask to go. 2, she coulda tell me so. 3, what get me mad? She gone with me down Paso. So I asking, Leroy, where your mother gone? Little boy, where you move my girl? She a wash the well, she a clean upstairs. The woman ain't put no glove on the arm. Hey Leroy, where your mother gone? Answer me where you move my girl. She leave the gate right in the oven. The woman ain't put no glove on the arm. Bang it up. Leroy, where your mother go? Because she leave the place. I invite my mother-in-law and the neighbors next door. When they come, we go have a ball.
From Maverick to Rio Claro to Guayaguayare, through the coconuts of Manzanilla to the fine sands of Queens Beach. This is your station on the Eastern Peninsula, Mayaro Radio, taking Mayaro to the world.
Now I'm feeling away.
Download the app in the iOS App Store and Google Play Store.
in each morn. As usual, I head straight for the kitchen. Right away, I knew something was wrong. Cake batter in a bowl, but the oven was cold. Looking wrong, I couldn't find a spoon. Not a protein was hanging. The ham still wanted boiling. I can't find my wife even. Seems like she gone. Even, why is Christmas Day you choose? Even, you have me so confused. It's Christmas morning, look neighbors coming, and parents playing. You don't know how I'm feeling. My heart is burning, my belly griping. Look people laughing. Even, why you leave me so I'm gone? Collect my memory, what happened the night before and such. But you know how things just get so big when you had about 10 drinks too much. I came up with a plan, but let me tell you frank, I have one flask of white out the tank. Now I face with this problem, I even find my children. The house quiet and empty, wishing. Even, why is Christmas Day you choose? Even, you have me so confused. It's Christmas morning, look neighbors coming, and parents playing. You don't know how I'm feeling. My heart is burning, my belly griping. Look people laughing. Even, why is Christmas Day you born?
Yes, music of the season. Pleasant good morning goes out to the counselor for Kukal Mafikin who is tuned in. Good morning, and of course, at the said meeting, of course, looking in terms of the residents within our electoral district and looking out for them and their concerns. So hats off and good morning to Councillor Kisun Kukal Mafikin. Listeners, I've gotten five picks thus far as it relates to the World Cup. Just for information, there are 32 teams. Of the 5 picks thus far, 5 persons all picked Brazil. There are other teams in the World Cup other than Brazil, listeners. So if you all should win, that means that 5 of you all will have to share that hamper. All right, because it's one mega prize for the person that picks the winner of the World Cup, the Qatar World Cup 2022. So there are other teams, actually 32 teams, 5 picks thus far, all 5 is Brazil. And the bookies have it as Argentina being the favorite for World Cup 2022. Argentina being the favorite. So there are 32 teams, so there are 31 other than Brazil. So come on and make your pick. All right, so we're looking forward to that. All right, this is continuing in terms of what happened. Now remember, the floor is open to you to sending in terms of what's happening in your parts of the region. Good things, not so good things. As you know, we continue to be impacted by the inclement weather, and it's really creating some challenges for our residents and those who live close to the rivers or in low-lying areas. Just as you think the sun is popping out, there goes that rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. See, I started to sing, alarms went off. Right, so, great listeners. So let's continue. On Thursday this week, again in inclement weather, and that was Thursday afternoon, all day meetings as BPTT met. On Thursday afternoon, I had the pleasure to be at a meeting with the Labre Village Council. The first citizen was at that meeting in the person of the chairman of the Rio Clara Regional Corporation, Mr. Raymond Cozy. And of course, he was so much more at home in that meeting because the meeting was held at a church. All right, and of course, in his opening remarks, of course, he indicated how good that was. And so hats off and a pleasant good morning to all the executive members and members of the Labre Village Council's newly organized Village Council. I think their life, as stated in the meeting, it's about 3 months. But it was great in terms of the turnout, in terms of the questions being posed, in terms of the attitude, the responsiveness, the way that the residents of Labre listened in and posed their questions. The chairman of the corporation, who of course stated that within his remit, he is willing to do all that is possible and sometimes even going beyond, because as he indicated some of the situations, it would have indicated that he would have gone beyond his remit just to assist residents in the community. It also indicated that most of the questions or concerns coming out from residents were beyond the remit of the Rio Clara Regional Corporation. However, that did not mean that some kind of assistance would not be rendered or their plight would not be echoed to the correct authorities or the persons actually responsible. All right? So, again, hats off and good morning to the Labre Village Community Council, and on a great meeting Thursday. In spite of the inclement weather, the turnout was fabulous. I think there were over 45 persons at the meeting, and unfortunately, due to the crusade, the chairman could not have stayed to the end. However, I tried and I took some of the notes that I indicated that I will also pass on to the chairman as it relates to same. But again, most of the concerns that were raised by residents were outside the remit of the Rio Clara Corporation. However, we worked out some of the things in terms of getting those queries to the right persons. All right. And I even indicated that the member of parliament had already taken up some of the plights of some of the concerns raised, and in particular, Wassa, yes, and the horrors as it continues with water and steps that were taken. I shared with them excerpts from this same program here on Saint Talk, where we would have had the member of parliament bringing some information to residents across the constituency, and in particular at Guayagari, as it relates to the continued water problems. One of the things coming out of the meeting, though, is that there is water up to a certain point in Labre because there is a leak at the top of the hill. However, and that beyond that leak, persons are seeing trouble. But before that, we are getting at least some good results as it comes to water. So all of that have been forwarded in terms of information, and we're hoping that what the MP had indicated in terms of getting that meeting with the management of Wassa to have a town meeting with representatives from each community to vent and voice their concerns and to hear directly from Wassa what's up, what's happening, how are we going to address that, because it was clear and all understood that if we are in the midst of the rainy season and this is going on, what is going to happen come dry season. So, great meeting. Again, good morning to all the executive members of the Labre Village Community Council. Look forward to you having me there again, and so that we could check up to see how far we would have reached in some of the concerns that were raised. Well done, well done. All right, and I made a pledge. I will not make it on radio. I made a pledge to the members of the Library Village Community Council that is supposed to be fulfilled on the 5th or 6th of December. So yes, members of the Library Village Community Council, I stuck it with a little note right over the glass on the wardrobe so that I see it every day. You have pledged X, Y, and Z to the Library Village Community Council so that I have to uphold. And of course, right, there's that lady who is looking down at me, and she would not accept anything less than fulfillment. So, good morning again to you there at Library. I know the rain, and I think some more mud came down this morning, and someone sent me a video. I passed it on already, and I'm hoping that some redress. I'll try to do a follow-up as I come off the air. So good morning to you. So we continue again. Oh my, wow, Argentina. Do you know that Brazil is, the borderline is between Brazil and Argentina? So us here in this region, all the teams that we know are only South American teams. Now remember, listeners, I will give my team at the end of the program, just before we close, and I will also give, some of the teams that I love. It's not the team that I pick, but the team that I love. So, good morning to Senegal. Good morning to Ghana. Good morning to Cameroon. Yes, those are the teams that I love, but I will make my pick. And yes, you guessed it right. My pick will have more than 7 born African players from the African continent on the team, on my team of choice. More than 7 players from the African continent who are born on the African continent on my team. I give you that pledge. But I will name my team on the last minute of the program this morning. So yes, so we have Argentina, we have Brazil been picked so far. So we look out and listen and continue to wait on your team of choice for World Cup kicking off tomorrow. All right? And there are teams close to us that are taking part, all right? And there are teams from the CONCACAF region in the World Cup, So make your pick. So we're going to go back over to the DJ and listen something again in terms of music of the season, all right? And there is this guy, I think they call him Binley B. That brother has been giving us some lasting stuff, But next week when I'm doing choice of choice as it relates to the Christmas music, right? We'll have to do it because you know what he says, Santa was looking for. And the Caribbean have the best. But just the whole idea of the type of music where we can see ourselves in it for this time of year. Take it away, DJ Binley B.
Date 68-294-8232.
Planning a function, she looking for musicians. Play soca parang for the Christmas jam session. She say, I went by Sprunta, then landed in a Pastora. All over the country, but you're the man to please me. Yeah, soca parang on my mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jam, play the soca parang. At Christmas time, I want to wine and jam, play the soca parang. Jam the music, Christmas music, jam come from Arima, that's the home of Paran, you know. But they have something sweeter, tell them I tell you so. Pulsating soca with the Paran flavor, mix them up together, there is nothing sweeter. Yo, soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Jam the music, Christmas music, jam the music, let me taste the sweetness. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Play it! Ahí. Baila.
Date 68294-8232.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Ahí. Baila, baila.
Mayaro Radio. Date 68294-8232. Date 68294-8232. Download the app in the iOS App Store and Google Play Store. Mayaro Radio taking Mayaro to the world.
You have the recipe, you have the party jumping. Look, everybody on the dance floor gyrating. But let me warn you, this party is whole night. No rest for you, we jamming till daylight. Yo, soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jump, play the soca Paran. Jam the music, Christmas music, jam the music, let me taste that sweetness. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jam, play the soca Paran. Soca Paran on me mind, the sweetest music at Christmas time. I want to wine and jam, play the soca Paran. Play it! Aye! We feeling nice.
Download the app in the iOS App Store and Google Play Store.
We feeling nice. Hear me now. In the village where I from, we don't buy liquor when Christmas come. We love to drink, oh yes it's true, but only the special rum I brew. We have a distillery that I build on top of Bacchus Hill, where we're mixing rum with soca Paran. Every year and they like it still. Early Christmas morning I just come down and rest my keg on the ground. And when I bust the seal is to see how all my neighbors just gather around. See them run, come one by one to taste my Babylon rum. I hear people leave home, he coming down to taste my Babylon rum. With Lyndon and Dean come hanging round to taste my Babylon rum. Ollie, Yahtzee and Steve start singing song to taste my Babylon rum. Now they feeling nice when they taste my Babylon rum. They feeling nice when they taste my Babylon rum. They feeling nice when they taste my Babylon rum. Nice, nice when they taste my Babylon rum. Hear me now. In the village where I from, they don't get drunk when they drink my rum. You go feel nice, so yes it's true, but nice from the vibes inside of you. Look, Mr. Dowling and old George Clark doing the heel and toe. I see my old grandmother come down the road and start to break way also. Mr. Jellicoe is about 90 something and he winding down to the ground. And he tell me, boy, I have to confess that rum is the best in town. See them run, come one by one to taste my Babylon rum. Russell Cruz come down from Washington to taste my Babylon rum. My whole crew just leave the bar up by Brown to taste my Babylon rum. My big side from up Parliament come down to taste my Babylon rum. Now they feeling nice when they taste my Babylon rum. They feeling nice
right, so guys, up in Mayaro is not New Grant. So the barrel of rum woman boiling in the bush has nothing to do with up on this side. At least I hope so. All right? So they are not taking on no barrel of rum when they come. All right, we have one of our young brothers there from Mokwali, originally from Mokwali. Oh, listeners, you're not sure where Mokwali is. That means you're not from the region. Okay, Mokwali, which is called Lagahu and Sukunia Trace. Oh, no, you don't know that either. All right, let me call it correctly. Her brother from Lewis and Sukwe Street off of Manzanilla Road, right, who is the owner of Suppy's Lounge, and they're having a big night come Saturday, November 26th, all right, and that is next Saturday, right? So the opening of Suppy's Lounge there at Manzana Road, you know, that's at the mall there on Manzana Road, and the contact number for them is 309-7159 or 327-5236. All right, and it's an all-inclusive party. It's an all-inclusive party there on Saturday the 26th for this grand opening of the lounge there at Suppy's Mall, at the mall on Manzana Road. And of course, there'll be music by popular DJs, cutters, food, wine, and the last word on this listing, you will get that info just before you get in, right, of what it have also at the lounge on Saturday the 26th. So, something to do. And the regular tickets are 300 and the VIP tickets are 400. So, that's at the lounge there on Manzana Road coming Saturday the 26th. Right? So, look forward to that event. And of course, it's taking the entertainment within the region up a notch. And of course, you know, in terms of that level also brings with it cost. So taking the entertainment level within the region here up a couple of notches to facilitate, you know, bring us into the times. All right. So good morning to you, Anita, Miss Anita Brown, and sorry to hear that your internet is giving trouble. And again, that most likely related to, of course, the inclement weather that we're facing currently, right? As I said, one of the lowest carbon footprint impact, and we are facing the brunt of the overall global warming and climate change situation, especially us here in the Caribbean, facing that kind of thing. All right, so that's the situation, and that as it relates to that. As you know, we talk our brother on the opening of the lounge there on Saturday, the 26th, and the VIP and, you know, all-inclusive party there that night. You know, at the World Cup this year, no alcohol, and some persons are perturbed over the fact that Qatar has decided to stick to its religious beliefs and traditions as it relates to alcohol. And I am so happy that they stood firm on their decisions as it relates to same. In other words, then, you're not compromising your belief for that almighty dollar. Because, you know, Australia, who would have banned a tennis player, has now lifted that ban. So all that noise and guff up faded away. And I am sure the almighty dollar had a part to play in that. So hats off to you, Qatar, and sticking to that. And hats off to FIFA. Hats off to FIFA, who indicated that going forward, alcoholic beverages may not be permitted at the World Cup going forward. I mean, we know one of their premier sponsors, Budweiser. But here's what. Budweiser already have a non-alcoholic beer. So guess what will be the best-selling beer at World Cup 2022? You just think about it. What would be? So that's a good thing. So now, you know, coming up, we have a memorial game for some of our dearly departed, great brothers, great players, skill sets as it relates to the game of football, in the person of Cornliff, Lister, Ian Edwards, and of course, Selby Filbert and Mr. Edward Alfred. And you know, one of the things that we were discussing at our organizing committee of Miara Boys Sports Club is that there are guys who don't consume alcohol. We are remembering some brothers who would have contributed to our community. And maybe we ought to take a look at not having alcoholic beverage at the game. And I was surprised because that was not raised by myself, because you know I am no lover of the spirits. So it's something that, you know, we're hoping to meet soon and probably come to a decision as relates to that. But you know that is coming up. So World Cup. And as we're talking about World Cup, listeners, Jack Warner, who played significant role in the development of football within our region in particular too, his connection with one of our administrators, Mr. Razak Jan, and the accusations of 11 charges, I think, but there were 5 of them in terms of the extradition of Mr. Warner to the U.S., and Mr. Warner would have lost all 5 appeals in terms of that extradition matter. So I think that it's coming to an end, whereby his options are being reduced. I think indicated in the dailies that there are still 2 other options to be pursued before they can or cannot extradite a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago as it relates in that case. But we know it may be coincidental that just a couple days before the start of World Cup 2022, the matter was heard and the score, as one of the dailies put it, 5-0. You know, the courts won 5-0. So Warner 0, courts 5 as it relates to the extradition. I don't know, I'm too small. Right? It's way, 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 way above my pay grade as it relates to Mr. Warner and those issues. But it may be coincidental that World Cup is starting and these things are brought back. Right, so that's this case as it relates with that. So as they say, when your neighbor house on fire, wet yours. So that particular situation with Mr. Warner continues. I think Mr. Warner is in the vicinity of 80 years. And I would have called on my brother Pam Pam to bring a comment on that situation as it relates to Warner 0, courts 5. But our brother has passed on, has completed his journey here. Hats off to his family and stuff. Right? In particular, Suzette out there in Canada. Good morning to you, Suzette. Right? Hope you're having a great day. So our brother Pam Pam is the only person who could have had Mr. Warner in check. So Mr. Warner right now is unchecked. Pam Pam has left us. So you know the nub and thing. Because we're still on football, guys. And of course, the only team that have been picked thus far, Argentina, Brazil. So there are still 30 teams to be selected. Any one of the 30 can be your choice so far, because if these teams win, the hamper will be shared among the winners. So look forward to that. So when your neighbor house on fire, wet yours. But when it coming around to Christmas time, is neighbor. So I call on my brother, Ricky Jai, to give you something to understand the vibes of neighbor around this Yuletide season. So just take in the brother as it relates to neighbor.
Wafting. Rosa, Merry Christmas, girl. I only hope you make that black cake. You know you just make the best black cake. Anyhow, we'll never make a tune later. Early Christmas morning, everybody busy doing something. Who were painting, the scrubbing. Who were scrubbing, the cooking. Sister hanging up the curtains, that's all time. Boiling neighbor, 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 neighbor. Next thing you know, hot sun shining. The day start off with a bang. I hear Marac and Quattro strumming. Gomez and Pedro come to parang. The song the Annunciation, followed by an Aguinaldo. But they lick up 2 bottles of rum and a pot of coffee before they go. Hey, hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be loving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be giving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be sharing. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Oh Lord, I'm feeling too fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, I feel too fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Ay, 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 ay. Fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. Fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. Come on, Pedro.
This is Caribbean Vibe.
Come on, Rosa. Everybody now to the table. Mommy say help yourself. I see grandpa take down the bottle. He was hiding from on the shelf. Mr. Social say he ain't eating. He shout, I must feel as an egg. But in the West Coast pocket he hiding a bowl of songs and a turkey leg. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be loving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be giving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be sharing. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Oh Lord, I'm feeling so fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, come on over and fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, come on party and fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Come on everybody and fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. I say come. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, neighbor. Wicked rhythm was jamming. We beating bottle and spoon. Mommy lips, she stood and she spinning. Light as a feather across the room. When she smelled the fruit cake burning, she shout out for goodness sake. We say, Mommy, this is Christmas. Make Bella with the bun fruit cake. Hi! Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be loving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be giving. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Christmas, a time to be sharing. Hey, ay, 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 yo. Oh Lord, I'm feeling too fat. Neighbor, neighbor. Neighbor, bring the party and
Pet neighbor, neighbor. So as we say, when your neighbor house on fire, wet yours. Look out as we continue to experience this inclement weather here in the city of Miaro. At this time, rain continues to fall. So please take note if you're in low-lying areas, close to the rivers, and of course, keep a lookout. And please do not drive through flood waters. As we saw on television, a brand new TAE Toyota. If it was a Nissan, he probably would have made it, but a brand new inside of the river and trying to imply to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, if you have a winch, you could pull it out. Why you didn't have some winch in your mind to realize flood waters that you can't see the roadway and anyhow. So please, resident citizens, do not drive through flood waters. Some good news because I have a little bad news to come after. So I'm going to give the good news first. The good news is LEADER, which is the La Savanne Environmental Association there down at Calma Pass, in collaboration with El Dorado Offshore, is hosting a health fair at the Miaro Resource Center on Saturday the 26th from 10 a.m. at the Miaro Resource Center from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Right? All members of LEDA and also all members of the public are invited to come along and take advantage of this. And you know, it's a word that we love in our community. Free health fair in terms of checking yourselves out to know where you are. And you know, in the Christmas season, we eat too much of what we should not eat. And of course, so we need to know where we are. And in terms of come out, those with elderly parents or elderly relatives, bring them out. You know, we are currently in the flu season, and flu shots have been offered at all health facilities. So make sure and come out and be part of that, as it relates to that health fair there at the Resource Center next week, Saturday. And make sure and come out and be part of that. And for the leader members, wear your colors and come out and support as it relates to that scenario there in terms of that health fair, to giving yourselves a checkup to know where you are as it relates to your health. All right? So be cognizant of that and be part. So now, here is the little bit of bad news. Within our region, within our community, there are persons who have become experts at the collection of hampers from various organizations and companies that are issuing same. Please, please, please bear in mind that these, how should I say, these programs in terms of rendering assistance to the less fortunate complies and understand that they must go to persons that are less fortunate. And putting yourself in a position whereby you have access to the information, so you know every single avenue that hampers or assistance has been rendered, and you may not qualify, but of course you can present that image, and you are now stacking up that at the end of the season you would have received 4 and 5 hampers from different organizations. I want you to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, what about the next person who really needed that assistance but did not have access to the kind of information that you have? And they were now left undone and did not get a hamper during this Yuletide season. And of course, Christmas morning are under significant pressures, while you would have been part of 105 12 bars of Christmas and collected your 4 or 5 hampers so you can hit the 12 bars of Christmas. Members of our community, these persons who are issuing or donating in terms for the less fortunate within our region, we must understand that the vulnerable within our community, in our region, please let these assistance get to those who really need it. And not for us who at the end of the month is sure to collect our pensions, and not for those who is already collecting grants from other areas and is trying to supplement because they would have mismanaged their own funding. And there are persons now who have no grants, no pensions, no income whatsoever, and have mouths to feed. We have to collaborate our efforts so that all the persons within our region have something on their tables, and not in terms of persons getting more. That is a really, really not nice situation that has aired its head. And let me even share with you, some of the organizations are trying to take steps as it relates to same. Because somehow, some of us who have already are acting as if we are on zero, and whereby those on zero are being overshadowed and not being touched with those outreach programs. So please, 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 let's let the assistance coming in get to where it's really needed. All right? It's a harsh and an ugly reality, but it's a fact. All right? So let's try to get it like that. And as they say, let us not bad beg. All right? Let us not bad beg. And of course, you know, the old adage, teach a man to fish, right? You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. And you know, my mantra has always been unto, teach a man to fish, so you feed him for life. So give him the tools, give him the operations, give him the facility, give him the opportunity to provide for himself rather than the handout. So please let us be cognizant of that and take steps that the outreach gets to where it's intended and to who really needs it, and not for those who have already. All right? So that is something that we need to look at. Right. Now, last weekend, oh my, hats off to the Matthew Pierre Basketball Academy on that great and massive turnout of youngsters in terms of that basketball tournament. Unfortunately, Mukorapo were victorious and they took away the spoils. However, it was great that we had like a kind of national perspective at that level, at that youth level, so that the youngsters within our community could also gauge and understand where they are in terms of how much work needs to be done. Again, great to Manzanilla Secondary School. Yay! Hats off. A good showing and good support. And for all the youngsters who just came out to look at it, and of course, get that basketball blood running in your veins. I mean, it was a fantastic showing there last weekend. And you would have seen it on the dailies in terms of that basketball turnout for the youngsters, that youth tournament. And I know persons are already stating what's happening next year. So to Mr. Pierre, you have your work cut out because you have set the bar extremely high. You have set the bar extremely high and looking forward in terms of keeping it at that level and growing it. So that is great. That is wonderful for the youngsters in terms of basketball. So we continue to see that. And coming up December 3rd, listeners, remember I gave you the email address last weekend, miaroboys2000@gmail.com. Send in your request, your orders for the chip pilau and the crab pilau. There'll be all kinds of, do not eat food and then come to the Miaro Recreation Ground on the 3rd. Put some dollars in your pocket and get to the Miaro Recreation Ground and have lunch with us. And of course, the children's zone. And I know people, the kids zone. I said, no, we have no kids zone in our event. A kid is a young goat. So we have no area for goats on that day. We have the children's zone. And of course, we're trying to make it in terms of an all-inclusive package. Bouncy castle, face painting, popcorn, ice cream, everything. So bring out the youngsters. And of course, the children's zone goes specifically towards the Ottawa St. Joseph RC Primary School, and in terms of the Christmas treat for our youngsters coming at the end of the term, on the end of term 1 in the 2022-2023 school year. So we know that they have their challenges there at that institution, and the PTA in collaboration with Miaro Boys is trying to do something at least to let them have a great end of term. So we look forward to your support at the Miaro Recreation Ground, the MRG, Saturday, the 3rd of December from 1 p.m. straight on until. So we're looking forward to your presence there. There will be the memorial game. And of course, that game is on the trophy for that day, and it's a challenge trophy, will be the Conliffe Lister Ian Edwards Trophy. And the game on that day would be between a Miaro 11 and the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And the game kicks off promptly at 4 p.m. I say that again. The game kicks off promptly at 4 p.m. at the Miaro Recreation Ground. And hoping that all and sundry will be there. And of course, remember, this is one big callaloo that is happening on that day. On that day, it's a combination of Miaro Boys Sports Club celebrating its 22nd year of existence. We also have the memorial game. We also have the recognition ceremony directly after the game. And also, in collaboration with Miaro Radio, of course, we're going to have the Miaro Radio DJs on show and, entertaining us there for the afternoon. While we have the children's zone where we have activities for the youngsters all day. So come on board, be a part, volunteer in any which way that you can. And of course, we are not offended by cash. We are not offended by cash. So feel free. And of course, on that day, we want to also have some raffles. And there will be a couple of donation booths as we plan for the same event come 2023 one time. All right? We want to make this an annual event. So come out Saturday, the 3rd of December at the Miaro Recreation Ground for this memorial and recognition ceremony that has so many components to it as it relates to that day. It's a day of fun. And of course, your chip pilau, your chip bake, your crab pilau, these are going via orders, and the orders must be made to the email address of Miaro Boys, all lowercase letters, miaroboys2000@gmail.com. All right, and let's give your number and your parties as it relates to same for your orders for the chip pilau, the chip bake, and the crab pilau. Of course, you'll get your barbecue. You can buy on site. We don't need to take bookings for same. And look forward, because of the inclement weather, listeners, we would not have our dirt oven 2022, but we gave you that pledge that come 2023, right, at the second annual memorial game, we will be having our dirt oven. We will be having our dirt oven. And we have added roast fish. No need to order roast. We'll have enough fish. You come into the city of Miaro, fish will not be an issue. So we'll have our roast fish and stuff. And this is a roast fish with a difference. They have interviewed Dr. Rosefish there at Bristol under heavy interrogation for his secrets. They have gone to Bodo. They have gone to my boy there in Ottawa Junction, and they have pooled those talents and added the secret ingredient called color. The secret ingredient called color. So the rosefish on that day will be a mixture. And of course, doing that interviews and interrogations of these providers, they have asked that if we could include in 2023 a rosefish competition on the same day of the memorial game. We said we will look at that. We are not turning away, because that day, we know in years to come, will have to now not only be the memorial game for our dearly departed brothers, but will probably have to be renamed the Miaro Day. So we look about. However, we need for today's, the first of it, to be such a success, and that would be with your presence. So we need for you to come out on Saturday, the 3rd of December 2022, from 1 p.m. at the Miaro Recreation Ground, the MRG, for this great day in terms of recognizing some of our past players and remembering our dearly departed brothers who would have left. So we look forward to that. Of course, the Selby Filbert MVP Trophy and the Edward Alfred Spectator's Choice Trophy for the game on that day. So we look forward to you coming out and being a part of that day. All right, so please show your support. Let's make sure that this may be also one of the best Christmas treats for our students there at the Ottawa St. Joseph RC Primary School. Good morning to all PTA members, all students and staff of the Ottawa St. Joseph RC Primary School. A very historic primary school within our region. And for our listeners, just a statement of fact. The Ottawa St. Joseph RC Primary School, its location was really to serve 3 communities inside Mafiken, Ottawa, and St. Joseph. Rest House came alive just the other day. The main village was St. Joseph, and for information, the steamer came ashore at St. Joseph. There were no roads to go to Grande. There were no roads to go to San Fernando. All right? There was a trail from Rio Claro, the last stop of the train, down the hill there, just by Ramkissoon Hardware, where the cinema was, for those who know, Works Yard. That's the last stop on the train. There was a trail from there to Mayaro, and where the police station is today was the rest house for the postman bringing mails via the last stop on the train. The last stop of the train in Grande was where the bus terminus is today, and that's the last stop of the train at Grande. Our mails came through San Fernando. However, the steamer brought supplies and stuff, and all the villages in our region were along the coastline. St. Joseph was one of the first villages in our region here, one of the bigger ones. And of course, Baseju also, and stuff, going down the road. So Charm Road was actually a key point because that's also where the steamer came ashore. So St. Joseph was the big town, all right, inside Mafikin, and of course Ottawa. And of course, to cross that river there, the government applied in terms of a crossing even for cars through that ferry road, yes, just at the side of Ottawa St. Joseph RC to go across to Mafikin right. And of course, there is that housing there right where that stands up to now where you could have crossed. So the school there was in terms of servicing those three communities, Ottawa, St. Joseph, and inside Mafiking. So sometimes today you hear people say, well, why they put the school in the middle of nowhere? No, the school was placed there to service these three communities, which was the three main communities around that area. And in order to make sure that they put it midway to service all three, that is why the location is there. So it's a very historic site, and right on the corner of St. Joseph there, on top of the hill, there are some saints and stuff there. So I'm giving you some research assignments. Find out the significance of right on that corner there, and the saints within the trees, you'll see that, and the significance of the community. So it's great, and we must not allow the school and the premises to be something in the past. What I'm saying as it relates to that, I wonder if any one of you can remember the government school in Manzanilla, where you see those lovely potteries being made. Yes, that was a primary school. And it closed down and they moved further down. And you know what happened? It never reopened. So stand firm, and we are not moving from the site. And we continue to lend support to the great staff members there, students, teachers, parents, as we come out to do something for that. So we look forward to you coming out on December 3rd at the Miaro Recreation Ground and witness a fantastic, fantastic game with lots and lots of surprises. And we look out for your. So this morning, as I stated, the inclement weather, our guests that were supposed to be in studio with us were facing some difficulties with rising water where they live and could not have come or been with us. And they did not contact us. They said they would have gone via telephone, but that was not possible. But thanks for sharing your time with us here this morning. And before I go, my team of choice for World Cup 2022 in Qatar is the team that have more than 7 players being born on continent Africa, but representing a European team. And the current holders, who we know historically at the World Cup, the defending champions never go on to the round of 16. And I am saying that in 2022, the year of upset, that team, my choice for World Cup 2022, is not Senegal, not Ghana, not Cameroon, but a team that have more than 7 players born in continent Africa, but playing for my team, France. So I am back in France. So yes, we have some Germans on board. We have some persons who would have picked Germany. Yes, I think they are ranked 3rd as it relates to World Cup 2022. So thank you for listening. And of course, we wish you a Merry Christmas here from Saint Talk, and we're going out with a combination of super soca parang serenaders. Thank you for tuning in to Saint Talk, and we look forward to seeing you next week right here, same time.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. I never see a parang sight so going house to house by people on the end low. I joined the band in front by Sharon, and when I reached the door, we started singing this one. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
I joined the band, not just for Christmas cheer. I hear it's a plenty Spanish woman living down here. I looking for wine, me and no shame. So I'm moving with the band, playing the game. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
Well, I reach and I feel it great. Oh yeah, yeah. What a feast, I full up a plate. Oh yeah, yeah. I go sing some parang. Oh yeah, yeah. And I bring the young. Yeah, man. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Every year, I just make me barrel of rum. But this year I decide that I am making none. A parang in hand with no liquor, and every house I hit, I'm drinking out the chaser. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
These fellas pass by me and they beep everything, but I ain't get hurt, cause I love me parangin'. I decide to fall in and join the session. This one only telling me how he loves Spanish woman. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. I joined the band cause I pray for people to come by me. Cause I ain't clean up yet, I don't want nobody see. My rooms are cleaned up, my curtains air wash. So I'm going house to house, looking for my paintbrush. Yeah man, Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
I was on the corner when the parang band passed. I say I go follow them to get some drinks in my glass. The parang was easy, it wasn't no cost. And when they strike it up, I join in with the chorus. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration. Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Peace and love, joy and celebration.
Look out for special delivery coming up next. Saint Talk out.
Rambo Shine.